St. Padre Pio used to advise people to pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry is useless. God is merciful, and He will hear your prayer. It is a wonderful piece of advice, even if somewhat difficult to follow in practice. It's our nature to worry about things, to worry about the future, to worry about the people who are important to us, to worry if the decisions we made were the right ones, to worry about what people will think of us. We get caught up in worry, even though we know that worrying isn't going to change anything. A sleepless night worrying about tomorrow is not going to make that day any safer or more successful. It's just going to make me tired. And I know that. And yet it's so easy to get caught up in wondering and worrying and planning and plotting. I believe that a lot of that worry comes from a desire we have to try to control the world around us. If I think of every possibility, I'll be able to prepare for them and guide things into the right path. And if I have enough money and time and power and stuff, I can set it up so that the people I care about will be okay no matter what happens. In the end, it always ends up with this desire to control things so I can avoid the bad outcomes that I can imagine. And I think this year proves to us that we can never predict everything that could happen. And we can't stop even the things that we can predict. Which is why St. Padre Pio invites us to think in a different way. He suggests that we look at the world the way that the book of Proverbs invites us to. Ask God for what we need, no more than we need, and no less than we need. Then that we should listen to the specific call that Christ has for us, and be willing to go and proclaim the good news of God's love to those around us in the way that we're invited to in our specific circumstances. We aren't called to figure everything out. Our success isn't dependent on us packing a second tunic or picking the exact right walking stick. It comes down to the power of God's grace working within us. He wants to guide us, to strengthen us, and to bless us in all that we do. Not in the sense of guaranteeing that the road will be easy. In fact, we know that it won't be. And not in the sense of making it so that everything will go the way we hope and expect, because it definitely will not. Rather, He wants to do it in the sense of giving us all we need to grow in truth and virtue and love in all that we experience, both the good and the bad, to strengthen us so that we become more fully ourselves, more fully an image of Christ. So whenever we start to worry about things, let's try to take St. Padre Pio's advice. Let's turn to God in prayer. Ask Him for what we need in that moment, focusing on not the maximum hopes that we have, but really on what is most present, most real, most necessary in our hearts. And then once we have asked, we need to trust Him and offer the situation to Him, which isn't an easy thing to do. In fact, a lot of the time it will go against our instincts. But it is the way that will lead us to interior peace and free us to be able to hear the call of God and to open our hearts to receive the graces, the strength, and the love that we will need to help to overcome whatever challenges we face. to be an instrument and channel of God's power in the reality of our lives today. So let's pray. Let's hope. Let's ask God for the grace to put aside our worries, because the world is in His hands, not in our control.